Jeff Iafrate, my man, Lions, baby, here we go. Are you kidding me? Come on, driving into Eastern Market today. We're located at Shed 5. It's the official VIP tailgate party. This city is ready.
Yes.
Lions, baby.
We're fired up. Today's broadcast for Detroit Lions VIP Tailgate is brought to you by our good friends over at Long Drink. Appreciate them for taking care of us. We're fired up. We're here at the Eastern Market, a part of the Bullseye event group. We got the entire Woodward Sports crew down here. A lot of people pulling up as well, Lions fans. A lot to get to, man. It's a great game. Lions are 1-0, coming off a big win last week, hoping to keep that win streak alive. And I got some key notes here for the broadcast before we get started. Yes, we have our ski masks on, and I'm not going to apologize. We're fired up. We got the Woodward Sports custom ski mask for today's broadcast. The Lions-Seahawks rivalry has been played 17 times, including one postseason game, with the Lions winning 5 of those, Seattle winning 12. 12-5 record overall for the Seahawks over the Lions. Fun fact, though, Ryan, last 2 years, this Lions defense has given up 99 points to the Seattle Seahawks. Hasn't been the most funnest, turnout for Lions fans, but hoping this year can be different.
Yeah, a couple of different quarterbacks that were involved in that as well. You know, Russell Wilson on the road in Seattle a couple of years ago, and then, of course, we all know what Geno Smith did last year to the Detroit Lions. It was an embarrassing performance. They did not punt one time.
No, they did not.
And, it's one of those things the Lions have to clean up defensively. There's no doubt about that. So we'll see how that goes today.
And I'm hoping this year can be different. You saw that defense in week 1 as well. We're joined. Come on. The guy's special. He's on. He's doing great things here at the network. Booner from the
game day,
Woodward
baby.
Night Show. How you feeling? Booner?
I'm with Ryan. It's game day. I've never been to Eastern Market before. This is a beautiful thing. It's beautiful down here. Tailgates all up the street. I mean, if you're not in Detroit, you got to get out here for a game day. This is beautiful.
So, Boone, one of the things about that, I got here at 5:30 in the morning to do the Fox pregame show that was from 6 to 9, and you could see people already setting up. It was crazy. And just the atmosphere rolling in, Jeff, Boone, I've been coming down here a lot of years. There is a lot of excitement for this football team. I've never seen anything quite like this, quite like what we walked into today. Now, in years past, guys, I got to take this. This mask is cute.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just do that.
Hold on 1 second. We're over this.
Hey, those are great masks, though.
All right. I'm back with you now. It's so hot in there.
Yeah,
that's what CJGJ said, right? He's like, it's going to be hot in there. But that's fantastic. Now, one of the challenges for the Detroit Lions, every week that has gone on after the opener, Jeff, we've seen the crowd slowly but surely fizzle out.
Yep.
The weeks in September, then in October, then in November.
Tickets get cheaper.
Everything gets cheaper and the crowd gets less. That's not going to be the case this year, at least we believe. This is a great start to week 1.
No, very
different. But week 1.
Yeah, of course. Very different Detroit Lions than we've seen previously. This is something new. New regime. Fans are excited. I mean, if you see the showing here at Eastern Market, tons of vendors, tons of people. You can barely get downtown as it is. It's probably going to be standing room only out there at Ford Field. So it's an exciting time. I know, Booner, in our short lifetime, I agree with Ryan. I mean, this has never been the case. My dad is 60 years old. He's never been as excited as he is about the Lions until this year.
Yeah, and I said it a lot this week on our show, the Woodward Nights. This has to be, at least in my lifetime, the most anticipated Detroit Lions home game at Ford Field. I've never seen this. The tickets are like $250 just to get in. It's insane. I'm excited. I'm excited to see if they break the record for the noise in Ford Field today.
Ford Field's 22 years old. Just to speak to what you were saying, Boone, Ford Field is 22 years old. I don't think there's been 2 bigger games. Maybe 0. I can't think of a game that people have been as pumped for, as jacked for. I mean, the one everybody goes back to is 2011 against the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. The Lions were 4-0 in that game coming in. They did win, and they went to 5-0 that year. But the crowd was so loud, it caused the Chicago Bears to go jump off sides
Yes.
5 different times in the first half alone. That's how loud the crowd was. Outside of that game and maybe the clincher later that year when they beat the Chargers at Ford Field, the clinch a playoff berth after 3 years after going 0-16. My goodness, it's just there's not too many more games played in Ford Field that are going to be bigger than this. And we anticipate every week that goes on after this.
Yes.
This is just the start. This isn't the end. So every week that goes on after this will just be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And you can't deny, and Aaron Glenn even said this best, that Seattle loss last year left a bad taste in their mouth. I mean, you talk about, and Ryan just, kind of alluded to earlier when he was talking about the quarterback play for Seattle and for the Lions over their previous matchups. Seattle leads the lifetime series 12-5, but the Lions haven't won their past 5 matchup against the Seahawks. What makes you confident that this is different, Booner?
I think the regime just in general, and I know, like you said, Aaron Glenn came out in that press conference, and he pointed to his head. He said, hey, it's in the back of our head, that loss last year that we gave up 48 points or in the last 2 years, 99 points to the Seattle Seahawks team. It's a completely different revamped defense. There's zero chance that they gave up. In my opinion, they're not even going to give up 27 points this week. They're going to hold them under that, and they're going to go win the game. I can't see them giving up another 40 points with this new revamped defense and the way that Aaron Glenn talked to the press conference this week.
Now, I'll
can't see it.
No, I was just going to say, in games like Seattle last year were exactly why Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell went out and got Cam Johnson.
Yes.
Drafted Jack Campbell, signed C.J. G.J., all drafted Brian Branch. All of these different things. This defense is nearly, 5 different starters from a year ago?
Yeah.
And the guys that played early on last season, the Aiden Hutchinsons of the world, man, those guys were so young back then playing. They were much different players in their second year, or in the second half of the year, than they were in the first part of the year. And I think you can't underscore the fact that this defense is a much different defense than the one that played Seattle early last year.
And to the point that Ryan brought up about this defense being a little older. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, you talk about last year in totality, great rookie year. If you didn't have Sauce Gardner, he would have won Defensive Rookie of the Year. But you look at what he did in Week 1, tied his career high in pressures. In Week 1 against that offensive line, it's going to be a big game for Aiden. I think we can all acknowledge that. 2 tackles, out for the Seahawks. Aiden's got to show up today.
Yeah, and one thing Aiden did say is that this offseason, playing in his rookie season, he was able to attack this offseason way different than he did last year coming through the draft. So it's a completely different Aiden Hutchinson than you saw 12 months ago versus the Seattle Seahawks. He's taken that year 1 to year 2 jump, and we saw, even though he didn't get a sack Week 1, Jeff, we saw that he can get to the quarterback at a higher level than he even did last year.
Yes.
And he had 9.5 sacks last year. So containing Geno Smith, I don't see a problem for Aiden Hutchinson to be able to do that at all.
And Booner, we got some bets coming up later.
We
that
do.
You're cooking up for us. So
I have a lot for you guys. I'm ready. I can't wait for that segment.
Can't wait to share that with the people. I got the injury at least report as of right now, and I want to go through that just to kind of tease it for the people here. Lions, it's confirmed out. Khalil Dorsey out of the football game. Emmanuel Mosley will not be playing this week, taking his time coming back from that knee injury. Josh Pascal had an episode, I think Dan Campbell called it. I'm not sure exactly what it means. He did not practice Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. He's ruled out.
He'll be out the next 4 weeks.
And he's on IR
Yeah,
officially,
yeah.
so he will not be returning for the next 4 weeks. Taylor Decker had the ankle injury, left last week in a walking boot, did not practice all week. He's out, or at least doubtful, expected to be out. And then Frank Ragnow, of course, partially practiced, but that's Frank. He'll expect to be playing. And then for the Seahawks, I want to go through who's not playing as of right now. No Jamal Adams for the Seahawks. Charles Cross ruled out. He's on IR as well. Mike Morris, the defensive end out of Michigan, he's ruled out.
I thought it was the lawyer.
Not the other Mike Morris.
Mike Morris.
Yes.
Oh, not Mike Morris.
Devin Bush, Boye Mafi, also questionable. So Witherspoon expected to be back. I guess for the Lions, though, no Emmanuel Mosley, no Pascal, no Decker as of right now. And, of course, Dorsey, who's a pretty good special teamers. Any concern there, fellas? Those are 3 pretty important guys. I know Decker's probably the biggest one for me. Matt Nelson will be getting the start this week.
I am curious to see what they do on the offensive line. And I did not realize it was Matt Nelson. Is it Matt Nelson confirmed?
I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but they did throw out that there's different things they're going to.
They discussed that Panay was working at left tackle and Matt was working at right tackle.
Yeah,
that's how they should do it.
And then there's Graham Glasgow. How does he get involved as well? What do? Do you just take your best 5 offensive linemen and start it that way, even if that means you have to move Panay from right to left? I mean, there's a lot of different things that I'm going to be curious to seeing here on this offensive line because, do you take the best right tackle in the game right now and move him to the left side? Do you do all this jockeying around, or do you just take the best 5 offensive linemen you have left on the team? Because, Dan Campbell always said, look, we have 7 starters, really.
True.
When you got the 5 guys that you know of and then Graham Glasgow and Matt Nelson, which one of those guys gets to start? If it's Nelson, maybe that does make sense then. Maybe he plays the right guard or Panay moves to the left tackle. I don't even know what's going to go on, but I'll be curious to see what happens with that.
Yeah, and to Ryan's point, I hope it is Graham Glasgow. I mean, he's if you're talking about qualified starters that are behind, they cut Iafrate in the preseason, so hopefully it is Glasgow, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Campbell came out and said that they've been trying different things, and he didn't give away what they're going to do. But I wouldn't be surprised if, in the first half, you see Matt Nelson out there. If they're struggling a little bit, they move Vaitai over. Glasgow comes in. I would not be surprised at all if you see a little mix and matching throughout the game, in my opinion at least.
Now, I'll tell you what. We'll go to break when we get back. I do want to go through some matchups for everybody here that we'll discuss it with everybody. But we'll see you in a little bit here. You're tuning into the Lions pregame show here on the Woodward Sports Network.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer at Academy Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, learning street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Holton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
Calling all landscapers, this is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. So register today at OutdoorEquipCo.com, and even you could have DMAC on your landscaping crew.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
We're back. It's the Lions pregame show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Today's broadcast, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Long Drink. It's the VIP tailgate. That's where we're at right now in Eastern Market. We got Ryan Ermanni, and then I'm, of course, your host, Jeff Iafrate. Every single week I'm joined by a different guest. This week I'm very honored to be joined by my good friend Ryan Ermanni.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I'm the lucky one here, Jeff, because I'm just sitting on here. It is so great to be able to work with you. I think we might maybe done one show.
Yes.
Over the 2 or 3 years, however long. I've been at Woodward Sports for 2 years.
About the same, 2
yeah, I mean, my goodness, to be able to work with you guys keep me young, man. I swear, you guys keep me young. I love it. I love it.
We're fired up to have you, Ryan. We're fired up. We got Booner with us as well.
Let's go.
Again, plenty more to discuss regarding today's matchup. The Seattle Seahawks visiting the Lions at Ford Field. And I want to get into some matchups for the Lions offense today because it is important. Last week, the offense scored 14 points. If it wasn't for Brian Branch and his pick six, we might not be talking about a victory. But for the first matchup I want to go through is that Lions offensive line, the confidence level. You kind of talked about it earlier, but you got a Seattle Seahawks defensive line that is all right, doesn't have the same depth maybe as other teams in the NFL, but what's your confidence level that this offensive line can be just as dominant this week as they were prior?
Jeff, very high, because that's exactly what the Lions' calling card is, right? That is their bread and butter. Their offensive line is where they put much of their draft resources into. 3 first-round picks, a free agent signing, and a third-round pick in Jonah Jackson. This offensive line is the calling card of the Detroit Lions, and whether Decker is out or not, these guys, there's 7 of them that we believe can go in there, be interchangeable, and still continue to keep the success of the team up.
Yes.
So I believe that the Detroit Lions offensive line will be just fine, and they will dominate today.
And it's unfortunate, too, because you look at a Lions offensive line that has yet, except for last week, in quite some time to play with each other healthy. Vaitai was out last year, and, of course, the first game, the entire unit's together, Booner.
Yeah.
And now you got Taylor Decker out for week 2. What's your confidence level?
My confidence, 10 out of 10.
Let's go.
And I'm going to say this, too, because the Seahawks defensive line usually has a elite edge rusher. They usually have a guy. This year they do not have that guy that you could sit there and say, hey, we need to watch out for him. Our offensive line is one of the best in the NFL. You just drafted a 12th overall Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yes.
You went and signed David Montgomery. This offensive line is going to protect Jared Goff. Not worried at all about that Seahawks defensive line. I think they're going to our offensive line will dominate. Jahmyr Gibbs, big game. David Montgomery. Jared Goff isn't going to get sacked that much, in my opinion. My confidence level is very, very high through the roof right now for this offensive line.
And there is some concern, right? I mean, you got Jared Goff's blind side being protected by potentially Graham Glasgow. So we'll see how that kind of pans out there. For me, though, I agree with you guys. I got full confidence level in this offensive line. This is the reason why you draft Penei Sewell. This is the reason why you brought in Vaitai, right? You got a complete offensive line. I would agree with Booner. I would say they're top 2 besides the Eagles. I'm confident in what they got. Now, without Decker, that's going to be a hit. But this Seahawks defensive line, to your point, Booner, doesn't really put fear in my eyes. And you're at home, too. I'm confident the Lions offensive line can hold their own today against the Seahawks. We'll see. I guess the more you protect Jared, you see how well he plays. He takes care of the football. He's got time to get the football out. He'll be just fine today.
Even without Taylor Decker, I think I'm able to say I'm confident. Even if you bring in Glasgow, I think we can all agree we're confident with that group. You still have 4 elite offensive linemen in there.
No question. Now, the next matchup I want to go through is the Lions wide receiver core. Last week, you saw Josh Reynolds show up when they needed him the most. 4 catches, 80 yards. This week, your confidence level, you got Devon Witherspoon coming back, the rookie corner. What's your confidence level that Amon-Ra St. Brown, we know what he brings, but in the others?
Well, it's funny you say that because last week you're trying to figure out Marvin Jones did not have a great game last week.
He did not.
I'll just call it what it is. And without Jamison Williams here, you really want to find out who is going to be that next guy. Is it Marvin? Is it Josh Reynolds? Is it going to be Khalif Raymond? I think what you're going to see is from week to week, who is the matchup? Who's the guy that you can expose that matchup?
Right.
Last week, now Marv aside, Marv's never fumbled in his life. In the NFL, he's never lost a fumble in his career before last week. So that's an anomaly.
Right.
That's not going to happen again. Is today a Marv day? Is today another Josh Reynolds day? Is today a Khalif Raymond day? Or every day seems like it's an Amon-Ra St. Brown day.
Yeah, baby.
But, I think what you're going to see, too, is two guys not named wide receiver, Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta, heavily involved in this passing attack as well. 7 attempts, 7 touches, simply not enough for Jahmyr Gibbs. He will get more. And by the way, the Seattle Seahawks are not great against the tight end.
No, they're not.
Over the last couple of seasons, they have not been great against the tight end. So look for Sam Laporta to have a big day today as well.
It's a great point.
I love that.
T.J. Hockenson, what do you have, a $180 last year against the Seahawks? Not saying Laporta's Hockenson yet, but to Ryan's point, I think you're looking at the guys that aren't wide receivers, right? At Laporta, and I know you got some bets for us later in the show to get to about those guys. But Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 touches last week. Booner, it's just not enough. And I know last week, right? I'm okay with how they utilize Jahmyr Gibbs, but don't tell me the 12th overall pick won't get more involved moving forward.
Yeah, and we do know he's going to be involved. They mentioned it that he will be involved more. I do want to touch on Ryan's point, too, especially with Marvin Jones. He fumbled for the first time, right? He's a veteran player. He's the oldest wide receiver in the NFL. Yes. He will have a bounce-back game. He's not going to do that every game. He had 6 targets last week for a reason. They're going to go back to him. He's going to affect this game in some way. I'm confident with that. But like you said, we have a lot of weapons here. Josh Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Marvin Jones. They're going to make plays, Jeff, and I will not be surprised to see Sam Laporta in the end zone today. Jahmyr Gibbs in the end zone today. I would not be surprised to see that at all.
I think it smells like a Jahmyr Gibbs anytime touchdown score. Look at this, Chad Johnson, my guy, joining the show. Look at him fired up.
Let's go, Chad.
We got the whole crew down here.
Say hi.
Come on, Chad. How you feeling?
Yeah, you do need these headphones, even though I'm always bitching. I don't want these headphones. I don't want these headphones. You got to have them here. You can't hear nothing. You can't do the show without these.
Yeah,
but,
we're live right now. It's
this place is obviously it's packed outside. I don't know what's taking so long to get people to come in, but there's a line out to the road.
Yes.
Eastern Market, beautiful. Here at Long Drink, today's going to be a phenomenal day. Opening day in Detroit. It's an exciting day. Great to be here with my boys coming in from Dallas, coming in from South Florida. Thankful. It's a great day to be alive.
I'm fired up. Chad, give me your final score prediction. What do you got today? How do you see it happen?
Today's going to be a tough game. I mean, at the end of the day, NFL is week to week. We know that, right? Anything can happen. I call this game 24-20 Detroit.
There you go. There you go.
24-20 Detroit.
Let's go, Chad.
The boss man.
They don't put that line at 5.5 for no reason, right? 24-20 Detroit Lions. 24-20. Thanks for letting me join you guys. I'll join you guys later when I'm a little bit more prepared. But thanks for letting me just jump on. I want to say hi and give you all hugs and love.
No problem. Look at that.
Hey, Chad, I love that retro, too. Rocking the retro.
Chad showing love to the broadcast. Look at that. 24-20, his final score prediction. I like it, man. I'm fired up. We'll get our final score predictions later, of course, in the show. But I'll tell you what, we'll go to break right now. When we get back, we'll talk about that Lions defense, right? Brian Branch matching up on Jackson Smith, the Jigba, and much more. We'll see you guys in a little bit. It's the Lions pregame show here on Woodward Sports Network.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Oh, yeah. Nothing. G-G-G-G-A. Oh, sorry. I forgot. There we go.
Cheers, buddy. I think we need to get you a pick.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Welcome back to the Lions pregame show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Today's broadcast, as you guys know, for the Detroit Lions VIP tailgate is brought to you by our friends over at Long Drink. I know the boys and fans will be indulging in some long drink after this broadcast, of course. And by the way, the fastest growing spirit brand in the world. Light citrus soda with a shot of premium gin, delicious flavors like citrus, zero sugar, and cranberry. All gluten-free, by the way, for all those, the vegan people. All gluten-free. Find Long Drink at www.thelongdrink.com.
This is the place to be on Lions home games inside Shed 5 at Eastern Market. Bullseye Event Group. If you haven't had an opportunity to make it out today, we invite you in. For tickets to next week and in weeks beyond that, go to bullseyeeventgroup.com. Totally sold out today. It'll be sold out every week after this. So if you're watching today, you're coming down to a game, bullseyeeventgroup.com. That is where you get tickets to where we are. It is the official Lions tailgate party as well. So
and the people are flowing in now,
yes,
Ryan.
They are.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Wow, look at that.
It really is. It's going to be packed in here. It's a great showing, great event set up, and of course, brought to you by our friends at Long Drink. I want to get to the Lions defense. We talked a little bit about the offense, some of our concerns, but I'll go to you and Booner on this. Lions defensive line facing that hindered Seahawks offensive line. Who are you looking to show up today? What's your confidence level they can get after Geno Smith today?
So the inactives come out, in a little bit. We don't have access to those right now, but I'm going to give you a name because Josh Paschal, we know, is going to be out for the next 4 weeks.
Yes.
Who is going to be that guy? The guy that I am rooting for anyway to be active today is Isaiah Buggs. Isaiah Buggs, last week, I think we were all pretty much shocked that he was a healthy scratch last week, not part of the active roster. And there are two things, Jeff, there are two ways you can go when you're faced with adversity. You can let it sink you, or you can let it give you a little bit of a boost. And I think the way Buggs handled it was the right way to go. Was he disappointed? Yes, absolutely.
He's a competitor.
Was he frustrated? Did he fire off a tweet here and there? Yes. But you know what? Then he slept on it, he came back, he was in Kansas City, he was on the field with his teammates, he was rooting on that defense. I hope Isaiah Buggs is active today, and I think if he is, watch out for number 96 to make a major impact on that defensive line without Josh Paschal.
And you make a great point, Ryan. I think Isaiah Buggs is the hero that people forgot for last year. They re-signed him, gave him an extension. And I do think it helps Isaiah Buggs and the Lions that they won, Booner.
Yeah.
Because if they lose last week, now you got the crowd. What if Isaiah Buggs played? He didn't. The Lions defensive line showed up to play. They're going to need Buggs in company today against the Seahawks.
Yeah, and I think this defensive line crew here, I think they're hungry. If you looked at last week, they had 0 sacks. Look at the Seattle Seahawks game last year, 0 sacks.
Yes.
They want to get to the quarterback this week. They want to they want Geno Smith. I truly believe it. This defensive line group gets 5 sacks today versus Geno Smith. 0 sacks last year and 0 last week. I think there's a chance that you see them get to the quarterback at a high level, contain Geno Smith, and actually do it. And it is a prop. Plus 540 for them to get 5 today.
So, Boone, I think they get 6.
I love it. Let's go.
I think they get
love
6.
that, Ryan.
And I think Aiden Hutchinson gets 3 of them by himself. If it wasn't for that right tackle, Jawan Taylor, whatever his name was last week, lining up as a slot receiver and getting a half a second head start on him, he would have got to Patrick Mahomes. Now, last week there was 0 sacks against Patrick Mahomes, but there was so much pressure. Mahomes was affected nearly every time he touched the football.
Yes.
They ain't going to be able to cheat this week, and I use 8 for effect. 8 gets 3. The other Lions defensive players get 3. Together, you got 6 sacks on Geno Smith.
And by the way, I don't think he's crazy.
I don't think he is either.
If Jawan Taylor, despite whatever the hell that was last week, Aiden could have got 2 or 3 sacks last week, Booner.
And let's just be honest, Aaron Glenn this week, that had to have been a point of emphasis is, hey, we're getting all of these pressures. We're not finishing. We're not sacking the quarterback. We need to find a way to get that quarterback down and push them back. That was probably a point of emphasis in practice this week. Was 0 last week and 0 last year versus this team. Let's get the job done this Sunday.
I mean, pressure is everything, guys. I mean, last year, Geno Smith led all quarterbacks in 25-plus yard completions. They like to go deep. DK Metcalf last year against Jeff Okudah had his way. So to Ryan and Booner's point, I think the guy that I'm keyed in on this game, Aiden Hutchinson. He's got to wreck the game, Ryan. That's number one. I'm with you. I think 2 or 3 sacks is the number. Last year, they struggled to contain Geno and really just the run game in general. I think stopping the run's important. Aleem McNeil, I'm watching out for. But Aiden getting pressure and getting 1 or 2 sacks, messing up at least rushing Geno Smith, not allowing him time to complete passes downfield. That's everything today.
And there is an aspect of, look, this ain't college, okay? But where, this team last year did X, Y, and Z to us. This team blew us out last year. We're coming for them this year. But I was surprised a little bit that this is a revenge game.
Yes, it is.
Jared Goff talked about it. All these Aaron Glenn talked about it. They were embarrassed last year at home, not giving up a punt. Geno Smith going crazy, 48 points. Aaron Glenn feels like the Lions defense got a little bit of a manhood check last year.
Yep.
And I am surprised a little bit of how forceful they have been this week talking about this being a revenge game. That defense will not, and I guarantee you, this defense will not allow Geno Smith in 2023 to do to them, and Kenneth Walker the same way, to do to them what they did last year.
No, and to Ryan's point, too, Aaron Glenn spoke about it. I'll repeat it. He said, hey, you don't think last year leaves a bad taste in my mouth. As a former player, he's still competitive. These guys remember. This is essentially, I mean, besides what Ryan mentioned earlier, a couple new pieces in the secondary, it's essentially the same defense, Booner, that got torched last year. They're going to come ready to play. They know what they need to correct.
I know you're used to stats with Flannel in the morning show. I've got a couple stats for you.
Give me the stats.
Let me give you the stats.
Rashad Penny last year, 150 yards, 9 yards a carry.
Woo!
Geno Smith, 7 carries for 50 yards, 7 yards a carry.
That questions your manhood if you're a defensive player.
You give that
No
up.
question.
But then if you look at the second half of the year versus Minnesota, they only gave up 22 rushing yards. New York Jets, 50. They found a way last year to, hey, we can't get manhandled like this. We have to find a way to stop the run. We can't just get embarrassed. Last year, now they're looking at that. Aaron Glenn took it personal. We got embarrassed in the run game last year. We remember that. We're not going to let Kenneth Walker and Geno Smith do that for his second year.
No. And you think about it, last year they got the Seattle game, but then that led to the Packers win eventually, where it sprung this defense into being, I mean, the only defenses that were with them in points allowed per game the second half of the season, Jets and the 49ers. This defense looked way different the second half of the season.
I'm so glad you raised that point. So the numbers were skewed last year. They just were. The first 7 games, the Lions averaged giving up 30-plus points a game.
Yes.
And the last 10 games in which they won 8 of those 10, the Lions gave up 20.1 points per game on average. And how many points did they allow in week 1 against Kansas City? 20.
There you go.
So that seems to be a number. In the National Football League, if you give up 20 points you will have a chance to win that football. Not only will you have a chance to win that football game, you absolutely should win the football game if you give up 20 points. That's why, like, if you look at a team like the Denver Broncos, do you know how many games last year they lost allowing under 20 points? 8. That's how bad that offense was. Can you imagine just having to get to 20 to win?
It's hard.
It feels like the Lions, man, if they could just hold teams to 20, 24, their offense will catch on. I think last week, too, offensively, Jeff, you know, a lot of teams, they struggled because there was no preseason. Nobody played in the preseason. They don't practice like they used to. There's no 2-a-days or 3-a-days anymore like they used to. This was all about a lack of, I think, playing in the preseason, playing real football. They will get it going, no doubt in my mind.
If you give up 20 points a game, Booner, you're going to win a lot of football games.
Yes.
Except if you're the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson. But this offense, we know what they are. They were a top 5 unit last year. We think they can keep it up this year. I want to ask you, I want to move the conversation to the Lions secondary, because that's probably the biggest matchup to me. I mean, you got Brian Branch, new addition, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, new addition, Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, he's ruled out for this game. Your confidence level, you got the trio over there in Seattle.
Yes.
Jackson Smith-Njigba, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. If you count the tight ends too, you got Fant and Will Dissly. What's your confidence level in this defense?
Jeff, I'm going to show this to the screen real quick. C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
There you go.
Cam Sutton, Kirby Joseph, Tracy Walker, Jerry Jacobs. I do get Ryan right there with that on, man. I do get this is an elite wide receiver core. JSN, Tyler Lockett, DK. This secondary is completely different from last year.
Yes.
They've revamped that completely different. There is it is an elite secondary now, in my opinion. And like we talk about all the time, you put out a top 5 offense, if you just give us a top 15 defense,
that's it.
You are on that level. And that secondary makes this defense, and it puts them right in the top 15. 100%. I don't care what wide receiver core you're going up against. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's going to bring the juice. Kirby Joseph's going to bring it. Cam Sutton's going to be that quiet assassin. I'm not too worried, but that is a huge matchup today to look out for, those deep balls there.
And you even go last week. Look at the people in the Aiden Hutchinson jersey. I love that. You go last week, Ryan, to who they faced up with, right? A young wide receiver core in Kansas City. No Travis Kelce. They're going to get a real test at secondary this week against those wide receivers.
And I think that's one of the big question marks coming into this season. Yes, they have a lot of talent, but how quickly could they gel? How quickly could they get that chemistry? Because there is no doubt about it, Jeff. One of the major sticking points in last week's game against the Chiefs was there were communication issues last week in the secondary.
Yep.
How quickly can those things get cleaned up? Dan Campbell said this week they very correctable, easily correctable, and it's so much easier and so much better to make corrections after a win than a loss.
Yeah.
So that is something you got to keep in mind as well. Last week, communication issues, multiple of them. We'll see how they got that cleaned up this week against the Seahawks.
I think the communication in the secondary, to Ryan's point, will be cleaned up.
Yep.
Dan addressed it. You saw a couple breakdowns before halftime last week. I don't foresee that happening. The Cam Sutton PI call, it was wishy-washy. I expect a good showing from this secondary. Jerry Jacobs, somebody that did play well last week that I don't think gets enough love. I think he'll be solid this week. Booner, overall, your thoughts. Brian Branch, Jack Smith-Njigba, I love the matchup. I'm slot.
Brian Branch, I just love saying Brian Branch, and you got him in the second round. It is elite. And to Ryan's point real quick, this secondary, they started a couple communications issues. They didn't play in the preseason. These guys are just getting started. They can only get better from here. Brian Branch is going to be playing in his second NFL game, and he already has the pick 6 versus JS. I'm not worried. I'm ready for that matchup.
You're confident,
this secondary is going to have an interception today. I can lock that one in, too. They will get an interception today.
That's another one, too, talking about the turnovers. I think the Lions, and I think this crowd causes turnovers as well. You know, whether it's an interception, a fumble, what have you, I think the crowd causes two turnovers.
Ryan, who's your pick for a turnover? Who gets the interception today?
Kirby Joseph.
Oh, man.
Kirby Joseph.
I was going the ski mask. I was going C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Maybe you will, but I'll go with the law of averages. That guy, Kirby Joseph, is our ball hog.
Yeah,
we'll see. Brian Branch, I mean, the thing that the Lions have going for them now, it's not just one guy anymore. It's not just one guy that you think is going to do it. You don't know how they're going to hit you.
Right. And that's the special part of the secondary. Multiple guys that can take the football away. We'll see if they take the football away. We'll have some masks out in that crowd and hopefully one on the sideline. It'll be a lot of fun today, man. I expect turnovers, and I expect false starts. 2 new tackles starting in this football game. That crowd's going to be rowdy and wild. I expect some false starts as well. We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get to Booner's Best Bets and more. You're tuning into the Lions pregame show here on the Woodward Sports Network. We'll see you right after the break.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing. G-G-G-G-A. Oh, sorry, I forgot. There we go. Oh, cheers, buddy. I think we need to get you a pick.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Welcome back to the Lions pregame show here on the Woodward Sports Network. We're at the Detroit Lions VIP tailgate, brought to you by Long Drink. We're out here at Eastern Market with the Bullseye event group as well. And what a great turnout. I know the people can't see it, but this place is packed, Ryan. It really is.
It's just so great to see, Jeff. Over the last decade, Detroit sports has been at the basement of all sports. The Tigers, the Red Wings, the Pistons, the Lions for the most part. Our city is the most deserving city, I think, to have this atmosphere for this football team and these fans. And I can't tell you how great this is. This is awesome.
It's amazing to see. I mean, you look at even the Lions with the least amount of success, at least in my lifetime. Look at the showing.
Yep.
Football truly is king.
There are no greater fans, Boone, than the Detroit Lions.
There
That's
is
beautiful.
not.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, we got a guy in this seat that can make a lot of Lions fans happy if they want to throw some money down on the Lions. Booner, give me your best bets. What do you got for us today?
We're just going to go straight Detroit Lions game here. I've got a couple for you guys. First one I want to talk about here, I want to know what your guys' opinion is on this. Ben Johnson came out and said that Jahmyr Gibbs will get more touches. They want to get him involved more. I went and looked yesterday. His rushing line was at 38.5. It has already moved to 42.5. Last week he had 7 carries. Yes, it's great. And last week he had 7 carries for 20 or 42 yards. He gets at least 10 carries today and gets over that 42-yard mark. That is my first bet is Jahmyr Gibbs. His rushing prop. We are taking that he will get 10 carries at least and hit that. Second one, Jeff, me and you talked about this before the show. Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown. He gets his first NFL touchdown today. I love that. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, he gets in the end zone. That is my favorite bet for this game. I love a Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown.
Booner, I think it's I would put a guarantee on it.
That is the Booner.
I think Jahmyr Gibbs
Booner
gets in the end zone
guarantee.
today. Put it in at either rushing or receiving.
Either
He's
one.
in there
Anytime touchdown, plus 130. Last one we're rolling with. Little sneak peek to my score prediction here, but the Detroit Lions minus 4.5. That is a lock. Don't see how it doesn't.
4.5.
It was 5.5. It's at 4.5 now this morning when I went and looked. Locked it in yesterday at 4.5. They get that. They win by a touchdown today.
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no. Well, okay.
What's on your mind?
I almost think they win this game by 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
I know that's great. Okay, 2 touchdowns.
I have them at 2 touchdowns.
I just think when it's all said and done, this football team is going to come out, show out, and just kind of go along with the script, right? And the importance of going 2-0, guys. And I know most of these statistics have come when it was 16 games, but
right.
Teams that go 2-0, 63% of them make the playoffs. And you can't win a division without first clinching a playoff berth.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just get in. Not saying you automatically make the playoffs with a win today, but your odds have increased mightily. The Minnesota Vikings look terrible, and don't be surprised if they trade Kirk Cousins when it's all said and done. I mentioned that on Monday.
You've been consistent about that.
I mentioned that on Monday.
Yeah.
Don't be shocked. Now, there's some news regarding Aaron Rodgers coming back this year and all that stuff, but I think Minnesota is not very good. Green Bay, we'll see. The Chicago Bears suck. Okay? So what you...
FTB, man.
Yeah.
FTB.
The Chicago Bears completely suck. So are you buying into what Jordan Love did last week against Chicago? Sure, he looked a lot better than I anticipated him to look. But this division is right there for your Detroit Lions.
And you talk about teams that go 0-2. In only recent history, the Bengals were the only team that started 0-2 and still made the playoffs, Booner. You can't go, at least you talk about 2-0, the significance of that.
Yes.
Seattle's looking at it like, hey, we have to win. We cannot lose this football game or else they're not making the playoffs.
That has been my point I've stated all week long is the Detroit Lions really have a chance to knock one of these NFC teams out of the playoffs week 2. You have a 9% chance to make the playoffs if you go 0-2. The Detroit Lions are playing a team today that knocked them out of the playoffs in the last week last year. They have a chance to potentially knock them out in week 2 and make their chances go from 50%, 60% to 9% week 2 to a team that did it to them week 17. I think they get it done, and to Ryan's point and your point, by 2 touchdowns, I would not be surprised. And if you wanted to do that, that's plus 285 if you get that. Plus 285 minus 13.5. I want to throw that out there. Throw it in for a blowout.
You got any other bets for us, Booner, around the NFL bets you want to throw to the people?
Around the NFL, I do have one here. I know Ryan talks about these home dogs, right? You always take the home dogs. New England Patriots plus 3.5 versus the Miami Dolphins. We are taking that. Also, Juicy J, the Bengals minus 3 versus the Ravens today.
There you go.
Bounce back week. They're not starting 0-2 again. They're going 1-1.
Hey, can I invite my Fox 2 people up here? Charlie and Liz, come on up here for a minute.
No, give them mine.
Stand in the middle. Stand in the middle. Watch out.
Sorry, you got to squeeze.
Watch out. Charlie Langton, Liz Lewin, Fox 2.
Oh, my gosh.
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Guys, to what do we owe the pleasure?
I mean, Fox 2 on Woodward Sports.
There you go.
It doesn't get much better than this, does it?
Tailgate. When I get a tailgate ride, Chef 5 is on. This is unbelievable.
This guy over here gets us nice chair.
This is food.
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
I like that chair.
All right, guys. What do you?
Enjoy it.
I'm hyped. I'm ready. I got the Lions winning.
Drinks over here, food over here.
Yep, everything.
Everybody knows everything. It's beautiful. Wow.
Thanks, guys.
All right, you guys.
I love you guys.
Let's go.
Love you guys.
Go Lions. Let's go.
Hey, this is awesome, man.
Take down the set.
I love it.
How about that?
This
Charlie
is awesome.
Langton, Liz Lewin, get off
Legends.
the field. Charlie Linkton, Liz Lewin, they get off the Fox 2 pregame show and go right to us.
Yeah.
We love it.
That's support right there. That's support. I love that.
We love it.
Let's get look at the selfie now. Look, this place is popping. A lot of people are out here. Let's get to some final score predictions, and then we'll kind of cruise on out of here. We'll start with you, Ryan. What do you got? Talk to me.
I got 31-17 Detroit Lions. 31-17, that's what I'll go with. Officially 2 touchdowns, but I would not be surprised if it was like a 34-38 or like a 38-17 game either.
Well, funny enough, I got the same prediction. 31-17, baby. I said it last week. I'm with Ryan. I think 2 touchdowns is how it's going to be looking. They're at home, like Ryan put earlier. One of the biggest home games, at least in Ford Field history. Booner, give me the Lions to cover.
I'm changing my prediction from yesterday a little bit.
Okay.
I had the Detroit Lions scoring 34 points. I'm going to go the Seattle Seahawks 24. Okay. 34-24. Seahawks get 3 touchdowns, a field goal. Spread hits easily. I don't know about a 2-touchdown win. 10 points, they get the job done. Place is packed. I don't think it's going to be a close game, though. I don't think they'll be in it.
It's hard to foresee this team losing at home today. No. It just is.
By the way, I don't think they lose at home this year.
I love that.
I think 8-0 at home. I really believe this is a home field advantage that is Arrowhead-like.
I'm with you.
Lambeau-like. As far as indoor facilities go, this one is the tops. You're 8-0 at home this year. That's one of my
and I think by the end of the season, they'll be talking about Ford Field as one of the hardest places to play.
8-0 at home, 5-4 on the road. You're looking at 13-4.
That was my prediction before the year, 13-4.
Lions looking to show out at home. You know, all that offense scores at home. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to say thank you to our friends over at Long Drink, our friends over at Bullseye Event Group for having us down here. And, of course, thank you, the people, for tuning into the broadcast. We do appreciate your support. Jeff Iafrate, your host every single week. This week, joined by my guy, Ryan Ermanni. You can check him out on Fox 2 and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz daily on the weekly. And Booner from Woodward Nights with Broder.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, Booner, for joining the show as well. Chris, Kool-Aid, the rest of the people, Brady, Griffin for helping set up the broadcast. We'll see you guys for the watch party. Tune in on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
1 p.m.
Until next week, we're out of here.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.